Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Paul Fletcher International Kart Circuit here in East Midlands of the UK, Lincolnshire to be precise, and the 2019 Motorsport UK Kartmasters British Kart Grand Prix. My name's Henry Beaudette, and joining me in the commentary box, making his Kartmasters debut, is Alex Goldschmidt. Alex, welcome to the biggest single weekend of kart racing anywhere in the UK. And it's been a fantastic start to proceedings yesterday. We've got 2 days to look forward to here in the commentary box.
Thank you very much, Henry. A very warm welcome to everyone here at PF International. It's nice to come back to what is effectively the home of British karting. This is the 24th running of the event. PF International celebrating its 25th anniversary this season as well. And what an event. We've got some great racing drivers throughout the categories we've got here this weekend. Obviously yesterday, watching the stream where I was yesterday, to see that the tricky conditions, we had some people that shone a bit more than others, some people against the wall, so to speak. I think I posted on the Facebook stream yesterday, Dan Parron-Smith doing a Jensen button in the wet. That was absolutely timed to perfection. He just ran away with it at the end. But, you know, we've got some international drivers over here. It's very prestigious with the amount of people that have previously won the GP plate, which is on offer on all respective categories here this weekend, Henry.
Yeah, this is the 24th running of the Kartmasters British Grand Prix. There are 255 drivers entered across 7 classes, representing 13 different nations. We've got 14 former winners here, and there are 14 drivers doing 2 classes on the same weekend. Now, yesterday, the drivers all competed in a single qualifying session and 2 10-minute heat races. Today, we've got exactly the same program. Everyone competes in a single qualifying session and 2 10-minute heat races. At the end of today, the 4 heat points scores, so that the points you score in each of your heat races will be added together. In 5 of the classes, that will set the grid for tomorrow's pre-final and then the Grand Prix itself. But in 2 classes, the Junior X30 and the Senior X30 class, that have more than 36 entries, the top 28 drivers in points at the end of today will automatically qualify for the pre-final and the Grand Prix. Everybody else will go through into the B final, and it's the top 6 finishers that qualify for the main events out of the B final. On-track activity is currently underway with the end of free practice this morning, and at 10 a.m. local time, in approximately 10 minutes, we will be starting with qualifying. And Alex, qualifying, so yesterday, obviously drivers, like you said, some had good races, some had bad races. We had a dry start, a wet middle, and a dry-ish end. I'm not going to forecast any predictions weather-wise today. All I can predict, Alex, is that the racing will be very, very frantic. There'll be drivers looking to conserve their pace, save tyres, and stay up near the front. And there'll be drivers that had a bad day yesterday. Desperation starts to kick in, and they start to maybe take chances they shouldn't normally take. On track now, we've got the final practice session of the morning, so you're not missing anything vital around this 1,382 metre circuit. And just to give you an idea of the live stream today, brought to you by our partners at Alpha Live. You can watch that on the Alpha Live YouTube channel, the Alpha Live Facebook page, and the Trent Valley Kart Club Facebook page, and Downforce Radio as well, Alex.
Yes, I just so happen to be their communications manager, but to be here at Kartmasters, you know, one of the, if not the pinnacle of British karting that you will see this weekend. I've already been enthralled. I've watched it over the last few years, and to have the opportunity, and of course to work alongside you as well, it's one of those events that you don't really see that often, but when it comes kicking.
Yeah, every silver lining has a cloud. You're stuck with me for 2 days.
Well, we've already started the kart mechanic bingo. We've had a few
early contenders.
I've even seen someone wear a pair of red Nike shoes in the paddock this morning.
And there's someone out there with a pink pair of trainers as well. We'll come into kart mechanic bingo. They're just warming up. Yesterday it was actually a bit, you know, they were warming up. Today they get a little bit more international, and then tomorrow is when the kart mechanics come out in force in their full international kart mechanic regalia. We will indulge a little bit in that later on. Well, let's look at what we could see today and tomorrow. Well, since this event first began, the first weekend in August 1996, 146 drivers have won a Kartmasters title, at least one. The very, very first Kartmasters GP plate was awarded to certain Lewis Hamilton in the Coma Cadet class. Now, for those of you that are new to karting, yesterday we had viewers from all over the world. We had viewers in the Middle East, we had viewers from the United States, we had viewers from the Bahamas emailing us in, and I work out in the Bahamas, and some of my students out in the Bahamas were watching this, couldn't believe that the go-karting that I teach them in a car park of a local college actually relates to this that we're seeing now. But yeah, this event was won first of all by Lewis Hamilton. There have been 24 classes of kart that have competed over the years in there, but I mean, for many years Lewis Hamilton was the only Formula 1 driver to win a GP plate. Not so now. 4 drivers in Formula 1 have won at least one GP plate. Hamilton, Will Stevens, and of course Alex Albon and George Russell. George
being a 3-time winner, Alex has won it twice, which is quite, it just shows the calibre of people. We've also got Kian Jewis, who's a former winner of it. He's racing in British F4. He's under the Mark Blundell Partners stable as well, amongst others. But when you think about it, who we've got as those Adam Christodoulou, very well in with Team Black Falcon and Mercedes AMG in the sports car side of things. He's partnering drivers such as, obviously you've got his brother Ricky. You then got Maro Engel, among others, within the AMG stable. Even 5-time DTM champion Bernd Schneider is a Mercedes AMG ambassador, and of course there's another ambassador that we can't forget about that, 2016 Formula 1 world champion Nico Rosberg.
Yes, and and looking at the list of winners in the last couple of years, you cannot go into any motorsport paddock in the UK and sometimes around the world without finding people that have raced at this event and have won this event. Jack Harvey got a top 10 finish in the IndyCar race, I think, at Road America, or was it Road Atlanta the other?
I think it was, yeah, and he's...
Or the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course for Michael Shank. He's a former champion, of course, Indy 500 starter multiple times. And yeah, looking at some of the names in the last couple of years...
Ollie Jarvis springs straight to mind, former Audi sport driver. He's in the WEC. He's also been running over in Japan, I think, as well, if memory serves me correctly. You've got so many names, 146 different winners, but then you've got Ben Barnicoat, who's here this weekend. He's won it 7 times, tying with Michael Simpson, and he's doing double duty, so he's looking to break the all-time record this weekend.
Yes, and Ben Barnicoat, so over the years, many drivers have done what we call double duty. They do 2 classes in one day, and only one has ever succeeded in winning 2 classes in one day. That came in 2015, and...
Well, we've got a couple of social comments. Please feel free to get involved on the respective Facebook pages and also the Alpha Live YouTube channel. Good morning to a very good young cadet by the name of Riley Wright, just turned 8 years of age. Very good young lad, very quick in a cadet kart. He's learning as he goes. Morning to you as well. Max Snelling on YouTube says, I love the smell of 2-stroke in the morning, or any time really. Safe racing, everybody. I'm off to Stretton with my CRG tomorrow.
Well, if he's off to Stretton tomorrow, he should pop up to PFI today and have a butcher's at this. But yeah, Ben Barnicoat going for 8, possibly even 9 GP plates this weekend. Mike Simpson, who still works in the motorsport world, he was watching the streaming yesterday, saying how he misses being part of the paddock. There are several former winners here that are currently team bosses. Ollie Rowland is one of them.
Yep, Nissan Edam's Formula E driver, partnered with Sebastian Buemi, I think came around 6th or 7th in the standings by my understanding. So yeah, I mean, good to see that Ollie's keeping his hand in. You've got other drivers that are in other motorsport paddocks. Of course, we've got Alice Powell, who's running in W Series this year. One of her young proteges, Ellis Stevens, is here competing this weekend with Fusion Motorsport. So there's a lot of drivers that do want to give back, and it's great to see Ollie, Alice, and a lot of other people bringing back their knowledge, their savoir-faire, so to speak, to be able to translate that and bring along the next generation of the superstars of the future.
Yes, and of course there's a multitude of other people in and around the paddock, mechanics, driver coaches that have won this event. If we were to name them all, we'd be here most of the morning. Yeah, now this
and we
is
wouldn't concentrate on anything else, would we?
Well, I mean, I tend not to concentrate on the racing anyway. It's far more entertaining to make it up. No, so we got going back to the Facebook and YouTube messages. Yeah, this is practice. Luke Bobby Motorsports. This is the end of practice now. As you can see the checkered flag waving on
Mini
your
X30,
screen.
yeah, Mini X30. Jessica Edgar at the top of the timesheets with a 59.89. I did see that there was one kart stricken just off the banking going into turn 3 just before the Litchfield Bridge. So it looks like we'll have, that might have been the 15 of Aaron Walker. I'm not 100% sure, but I could catch a 5 on the back part of the side pod. But Jessica Edgar was nearly 3/10 quicker than Theo Makuris from Croc Promotion. Sam Gornall rounds out the top 3 for Coles Racing. As Callum Voisin from Coles Racing, who's also been racing in the B&L karting series as a junior Max driver. Met his dad at the first weekend of July when we were at Karting de Fang in Marienburg, and apparently Callum is based out of Switzerland but comes to school here in the UK and then goes all over Europe to compete.
Ah, that's right. I wondered. So that makes that 14 nations, because I did notice the entries he was part of from Geneva. But I thought, I don't remember that being part of Hertfordshire.
No, it's only because his dad came up in the commentary box to me at Karting de Fang and told me, here's a little bit of information for you, Alex. And I went, brilliant, that's exactly what I needed. Yes,
I've had that many a time. That's a parent's nice way of saying, come on, behave yourself, get it right. So here we go. So yeah, this is a couple of drivers that should be here. Marcus Littlewood, wishing good luck to Harvey Charter. Marcus Littlewood, the Spirit of Senna racing team. It's a shame that he's not here this year. Josh Rowledge, who's a current doing very well in the is it Junior X30 now? Josh Rowledge is up into. He's wishing Ben Barnacut a good luck, and we've got plenty of people from the Daniel Ricciardo series crossing over. Aidan Hassan, the DRS 62 championship leader.
Yes, who's a very accomplished IAME cadet and just recently picked up the Mini Rock O plate.
Vijay Ramlal as well, and Nicky Taylor. Nicky Taylor leading the DRS, one of the top 3 in the DRS 100 class. Both him and Vijay have found their way to the Mark Baines Motorsport team, sadly for them. But no, I'm only joking.
I know. We do give Mark a lot of grief, but it is all in good jest.
Well, some of it is anyway. Mark is going to be preoccupied today because his beloved Sheffield Wednesday kicking off their championship season against Reading today. So if we do digress away from karting and talk about Cardiff City and Sheffield Wednesday, it's only because me and Mark Baines both have the unfortunate pleasure of supporting really, really bad football teams. But
I don't have that honour, so I'll leave you two to it.
No, that's right. we normally send up a translator for anyone who's in Mark Baines' awning so they can understand what he's saying. Here we go then. Qualifying coming up.
And first up, it's Senior X30. 6 minutes qualifying sessions all the way through till around about 11:30 this morning. Well, 26 past 11 this morning. With the first of our conclusion of the heats, with Heat 3 starting with Senior X30 at 11:30 this morning. That'll be race 17 of the meeting. So it is all about, now we've got quite a few in here. We've got Alex Pendlebury, Ruben Moyer, Ben Donkin, Ben Barnacote, as we mentioned earlier on, trying to go for at least an 8th Kartmasters British Kart Grand Prix GP plate. And that is going to be very, very interesting indeed. We have got a bit of an international field in here. We've got Philip Vava, who's been running in the IAME X30 Euro Series this year, as well as the Rotax Max Euro Trophy. So he's. I spoke with him this morning. He's looking for a little bit of a better opportunity today, obviously with the. But at the moment, coming into the intermediate classifications, Ben Barnacote, the GP plate, has no points to his credit, so that puts him at the top of the sheets.
Ahead of clarify that you get 0 points for winning, 2 points coming second, 3 points for third, and so on and so on. So
Cole Kilner in the 73 is second, ahead of the PF plate of Matthew Hudson. Then it's Thomas Turner, the O plate, ahead of the number 17 of Jordan Brown-Nutley, who's running with 2 different teams this weekend, Strawberry Racing in X30, and for Senior Rotax, he will be with SFR Motorsport on the Ralf Schumacher chassis, I believe.
Yes, and looking at the screen there, the Alpha Live graphics telling you that this is such an international field. We've got drivers from the Philippines, from the United States, from Spain, from Singapore, from Wales, from
Scotland,
Dubai, Jordan, the Isle of Man, Ireland, as well as England, obviously as well. So we'll the first couple of contenders out. Now this is where Tom Nippers gets his name mentioned. The driver from Newport. We've always asked to try and find me a Welshman.
Oh yes, I remember. I remember saying that he's been nipping at everybody else's heels is my normal catchprbe with this guy.
Well, he has been, because it hasn't gone wonderfully well for Tom so far. So he's probably been nipping around at the back of the pack, but he's going to be out on there. Now we see more drivers heading out onto the circuit. 5 minutes to go. Of course, the track has been dry overnight. Now the rubber has been laid down in the morning. So here we go out onto the circuit. We'll pick up, and there's the banking, and there's the Lichfield Bridge. This camera angle showing the turn 3 at the top of the screen, and they come over the bridge through turn 4, and then they begin the descent down the hill toward the first timing loop. This circuit split into 3 timing sectors. Come down this hill now into the first hairpin, which is where we see an awful lot of action.
Yes, and especially when it goes 3 wide as well, Henry. I've seen that many a time, especially on the live stream yesterday with the changeable conditions. But at the moment, Tom Nippers is purple in Sector 1 with a 21.28. Harry Barlow set the initial benchmark at 1:02, but the pace that we're going to see from these senior X30 drivers, I think we're probably going to see in the mid to high 50-second bracket, and with the way that things... So, I mean, effectively, when we get to the proper business end of qualifying, where it is basically to try and put it on the line, but within the limits of adhesion, we're going to see who's really going to come out on top, and I won't be at all surprised if you're going to see the likes of Cole Kilner, Ben Barnicoat, Jordan Brown-Utley. I mean, there's so many different drivers. I mean, we've got Rhys Ushijima from the US here with us this weekend. So that, you know, there's so much happening on. I mean, Lewis Gilbert, one of the Dorai Diamonders, is well known of, and I do mention that in the commentary whenever I'm over at the Rotax Euro or the B&L Karting Series. We've got their final rounds coming up very soon. I think Rotax Euro is in about 6 weeks at Wackersdorf, but Lewis always, you know, last year was impressive as a junior, but then he came firing out the blocks as a senior earlier on this year. Mega impressed by the youngster from Scotland, and the funny thing was, there's a little bit of a funny story I'm going to tell you here. I'll be brief though. We had the podium celebrations. Dylan LaHaye took first. Lewis was in second. And I think Clayton Ravenscroft was in third, who's the current points leader in Senior Max in the B&L Karting Series. They had to put a bottle crate under Dylan LaHaye's feet because Lewis has sprung up so quickly. He is definitely getting taller and taller by the day.
Yes, when you see the drivers a couple of times a year, then sometimes it's hard to remember who they are, because they all, especially when they're cadets and juniors, they seem to grow exponentially. Yeah, so Manaf Hijawi, one of our Jordanian drivers, getting good luck wishes from Tony Hogg, a very experienced driver out in the Middle East. Good to see Tony. Hopefully we'll see you at the Rotax Grand Finals later this year. But yeah. On track at the moment, it's Henry Ayres, who's gone quick with the KR Sport team in kart number 129. Jamie Rogers second, John Stewart, who had a bit of a tough day yesterday, his own ST Racing team. One of 2 team owners racing for their own team, John Stewart and Jack Dex racing, but Ruben Moyer making a good start in the number 43 kart.
Yeah, we've got Henry Laws, Ben Hodge, Callum Barnett, Ben Duncan and Philip Vava from Spain running out the top 10, and they are separated by just over 3/10. It's literally, it's 1/100th above that, Henry, at the moment. So it's going to get closer as we're into the last 1 minute and 50 seconds of qualifying for Group 3 for Senior X30 today.
Now, Ben Barnicoat yet to really show his hand. There's going to be a lot of drivers that are going to be only having 1 or 2 flying laps. Tom Nippers has been the first kart on track, and he is 17th at the moment. Manaf Hijawi, the Birrell Art Middle East driver, running under the guidance of Mark Rose this weekend in the number 72 kart, goes quickest of all with a time of
58.39.
Ben Hodge second now, Callum Barnett third, Philip Rawson had a rough day yesterday. He's now up to 4th place, and it's Stuart Philippe Vava, the Spaniard, coping well with the acclimatization to British karting. Alex in the top 6, but a minute to go.
Ben Barnicoat's gone purple in Sector 2 and 18.3 flat, as Gus Lawrence with V Motorsport in the 82 goes top. A 10th ahead of Manaf Hijawi, and there we go, Ben Barnicoat up into second on his first full charging flying lap. You can see him coming through there on the live stream at home, but Ben again, you know, literally it is 1/100th between him and Gus Lawrence in the fight for pole position in this group. 42 seconds remaining in this qualifying session as Alex Pendlebury from Persistence Motorsport puts in a 58.08, a 10th quicker. Time's fast ticking away here, Henry.
Yeah, Max Young goes second, Stewart third, Jamie Rogers 4th, Rawson 5th, Ayres 6th, Lawrence 7th, then it's Laws, Barnicoat back to 9th, then Ben Donkin rounding out the top 10. So Manaf Hijawi, he was our provisional pole, now he's back to 11th place. We'll wait to try and pick up with 10 seconds to go. There's Gus Lawrence coming through the Mike Wilson complex now. The 39 kart of Pendlebury is in the middle of a big pack of karts.
Lawrence goes sub 58 as Elliot Harvey jumps up to complete the top 10. Henry, the top 23 separated by just under 8/10. This is very close. Checkered flag now being waved on the start-finish line here.
So Cole Kilner has gone faster, 57.88 for the Mick Barrett Racing team. Great day yesterday in this class for Mick Barrett Racing. And now he watches the karts coming across the start-finish line. There goes the number 92 across the line. That's Henry Laws. But it's still Kilner, Lawrence, Barnacote. Pendlebury has taken the checkered flag in fourth. Eduardo Costang from the Philippines is fifth. Henry Laws sixth after that last lap. Max Gian seventh. But Hudson in eighth, the PF plate. He's still on a lap. Let's have a look. Green first sector for Kilner, green first sector for Barnacote. That's a personal best for them. But then Kilner not wonderfully rapid through the middle sector.
Barnacote needs to find at least a 10th and a half to go pole in this group. I don't know if he's going to make it, but it's two personal bests. Sometimes we've seen it where they've done personal bests over the first two sectors and nail it in the third one and get it across the line as Cole Kilner comes across the line. Barnacote goes second by just 6/100ths with a 57.81. Top three, sub 58, Henry, so it's a pretty good showing. And then pretty much all the way down to 25th, which is Ruben Moya with Piers Sexton in the 43.25. The top 25 separated by 9/10. Well, it's just like for sort of like a DTM reference here, because they go to Brands Hatch for their 11th and 12th races, with W Series having their season finale. That's like a DTM qualifying session, only with more cars or more karts, if you want to put it that way.
Well, Cole Kilner, he did improve his best time right at the end of the 57.75 seconds on your screens there. You can see the rundown through the 24th. Ewan Wilson for the S8 Racing team, just 0.8 of a second off pole. Kyle Kumaran, enjoying his very first race in the UK, enjoyed his very first race in the rain yesterday. He was in the top 20, just outside the top 20, 18th, no? So that's the end of the first half of Senior X30 qualifying. The second half is coming up very soon.
Right, also some more social media comments. A big thanks to Ross Paul, also a fellow countryman of Lewis Gilbert. His young son, Ollie, is a young cadet, and he said, "Morning, Alex from Ollie, hoping to take part next year." We've got some really good cadets. We've both got IAME and Honda. I was at the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships at Shennington, where there are a couple of drivers in this particular class, which we'll get onto later on in qualifying. But Keen Nakamura Berta doing a dual campaign, not just here, but in the British Kart Championships this season in both IAME and Honda Cadet. And he's 3 points behind Mitchell Gibbons at the moment. Mitchell Gibbons, I spoke to him and his mum at Shennington. They were first reserve, and they were hoping to get an opportunity because Mitchell has both the English plate and now the Shennington Super Prix plate.
Ah, yes, because a capacity grid in Honda's 36. So 36 is the limit for a single race, a single grid here at PF International. The second half of Senior X30 qualifying coming up very shortly. Now we're going to see the British Open champion, the O plate, Thomas Turner. So we're going to see Ollie Hodgson running for Paul Fletcher's PF International team. Hodgson, a three-time Kartmasters champion. We've got Alexander Huang from Singapore in this group as well for the Mick Barrett Racing team. Morgan Porter. Now, for those of you that are new to karting, the drivers with the 0 on the kart, that's the O plates. That is the British Open Championship. The E plate karts, they are the English champions. There's a couple of drivers here wearing the PF plate, and they can only use that at the circuit. That's the PF Trophy winners. And then anyone else with a single digit, that means they're nationally ranked in their class from the previous year. So Morgan Porter, who will be going out in this one, he's driving kart number 2. He finished second in last year's, the 2018 Senior X30 British Championship. If you finish in the top 10, you get a national seed. If you don't finish in the top 10, you can use whatever other number you want.
As long as someone else doesn't grab it first.
Yeah, so, and of course, if you're wearing the GP plate, like Ben Barnacote is in Senior X30, that means you're the defending champion of this event. The GP plate, you can use that plate after winning this event this weekend. You can use it anywhere in the country in that particular class for the next 12 months. It's a very, very prestigious plate indeed. And Barnacote is going to have his hands full. I mean, Senior X30 yesterday, Barnacote won both his heat races. It was the Senior X30 class, it is packed full of talent. I mean, it's an absolutely superb entry. But apart from Cole Kilner, who really, he won his heat that Ben Barnacle wasn't in, and then he finished second in the other one. A lot of the other drivers that are very, very quick, they're probably as quick as Ben, but they were having issues and problems, making mistakes, nose cone penalties, missing their setup, getting involved in incidents, and they were busy shooting themselves in the foot. And even though it's a long event, this is, you know, when somebody is driving so quickly and consistently, one mistake could put you back on the 4th or 5th row of the grid for the Grand Prix, and you're starting the race with one hand tied behind your back.
And you also end up in the melee if something kicks off going into the Bruno Ferrari S's, heading towards underneath the bridge, because, you know, I've seen it through my travels throughout the United Kingdom and continental Europe, that if you are in the mid-pack, that is the key point where you might find, oh, I'm up against a brick wall here, I've really got to get out of this. And some will struggle and some will shine.
Yeah, and so Kart's heading on track. The session actually started 2.5 minutes ago. But this is what happens. So everyone has got, you know, tyre conservation mode as well. They don't want to go out there and needlessly. So they're going out with 3.5 minutes remaining. They're probably going to get 2, at a maximum 3 flying laps in. But of course, this is going to be a 26, 27 karts in this session. If you get your track position wrong now, you are screwing up your entire day. You're gambling here, because you can see drivers on their outlap weaving their tyres and moving offline. But of course, they all want to try and find somebody to slipstream with. This track is such a good track for getting in the slipstream. You've got so many long straights, fast areas that you can tuck in behind somebody and work with them and pull away. We saw that yesterday, the slipstream working wonderfully well. But if you get in with the wrong crowd, if you're around slower drivers, or if you come across a driver that suddenly pulls off and sides, that can ruin your lap, and you haven't got much time. 2.5 minutes to go, no one's done a lap yet.
It's definitely a track here at PF International where it is difficult to lead, but if you are chasing the leader down, you have a better opportunity, because the leader out there is basically a prime target. They've got a bullseye on the back of the race overalls. Everyone knows, right, let's go and catch up with this guy. And that's why yesterday you saw so many drivers going, right, okay, they're doing this, like literally the 2 fingers, so like, let's go forward.
Not those 2 fingers.
No. As in the 2 fingers, as in,
the
thinking 2 fingers, as if to say, let's go forward and let's see what happens. Some banker laps already coming in. Nelson King ahead of Lewis Gilbert, Thomas Turner, Callum Bradshaw, Oliver Hodgson rounding out the top 5. Jordan Brown-Nutley, who's in this group with Strawberry Racing, the number 17, 7th, a fellow Essex lad as well. Sean Butcher, Thomas Westworth and Jack Dex rounding out the top 10. Reese Usajima from the US, currently in 14th, the PSR driver in the number 13. He's just on 61.39. As into shot on the live stream, that looks to be the 75. And that is Clayton Ravenscroft, well known in IAME X30 circles, and also current points leader in the BNL karting series by just 7 points, heading to the final round in Genk in early October.
So just over a minute remaining now. Alexander Huang is fast at 58.45. They're all trying to get down to a 57.75, which is what Cole Kilner did in the first session. And of course, if they can beat Cole Kilner, they're on outright pole position. But just to give you an idea of how important qualifying is, Philip Rawson in this class in the number 139 kart, he only qualified 50th yesterday out of the 53 entries in this class. He probably passed more karts than anybody else in the field. He finished 14th and 18th and on a grid of 36 in his 2 heats, but he's still only 18th in the point standing. So if the Grand Prix started now, although Philip Rawson is arguably the quickest driver on circuit, he's going to be starting 8 rows behind Ben Barnacote, who just kept his powder dry, qualified second and then won his both heat races yesterday. 30 seconds to go. Thomas Turner now goes fastest at 58.17. Ollie Hodgson is second. Jordan Brown-Nutley third. But, Alex, Jordan Brown-Nutley on a quick lap.
Purple in sector number 2 with an 18.28 as Alexander Huang goes back to the top of the timesheets. I'm keeping an eye on Brown-Nutley because he's about to come across the start-finish line very, very shortly. And he does now. And he goes 4th. But then that's quickly deposed by Lewis Gilbert, who goes 5th. Well, make that 6th. As Sean Butcher and Nelson King go 3rd and 5th, respectively. But Thomas Turner goes and puts in a 57.98. Checkered flag is out for the session.
So this is it now. The drivers are on their final flying lap. Having a look down, lots of purple sectors coming in. At the moment, the order is Turner with a 57.98, followed by Hodgson, Butcher, Porter, Nelson King, Lewis Gilbert, Huang, Brown-Nutley, Callum Bradshaw and Reese Usajima. That's your top 10 at the moment. Bradley Pennell in kart number 7. He's 17th at the moment, but he is in a purple first sector. Here he is picking up on your screens now, coming to the Fullerton S. He's following Thomas Turner. So Turner, the O plate, is Let's have a look at his time. He's done a personal best first sector. Now things start to change.
Purnell's
Kart's coming across the line.
Purnell's gone purple in sector 2 as well. He's not that far off coming through the exit of the Mike Wilson complex here, Henry. This is going to be very, very interesting to see if he gets into the top 10.
Oh, it's all
and he
changed.
does. He goes third.
Yes,
that's
third.
a great lap.
All changed. Thomas Turner, 57.74. He knocked Cole Kilner off the outright pole position by 1/100th of a second.
And you know what's funny about that? Jordan Brown-Nutley equals the time of 57.75.
So the top 3 in Senior X30 provisionally separated by 1/100th of a second. Purnell went third eventually with a 57.83. Sean Butcher was 4th. Oliver Hodgson 5th. Lewis Gilbert 6th. Del Boy, Derek Morgan 7th. Morgan Porter 8th. Nelson King 9th. Alexander Huang 10th. And look at that, Alex. 3/10 of a second covering the top 9. Looking back there, if you were half a second off the pace, you were 20th.
Well, 26 drivers covered by 0.77 of a second, with Lewis Diamond in the 91 being 26. Abigail Ross from Mick Barrett Racing 24th. Reese Usujima ended up 17th at the end of that session. Archie Tillett 12th behind Clayton Ravenscroft. But that really has spiced things up going into the heat stages for Senior X30 as that concludes the qualifying for the both groups.
And you were looking at on the screens there the very, very large timing screen on the PFA International. You'll see drivers looking over at the end of a race or during a qualifying session, looking up away from the track, and that's where they can see that screen there to try and see where they are. It's one of the many things that as a national leader here.
Oh, here we go. A bit more kart mechanic bingo, I think, here, Henry.
Oh, there's well, Mr. Kart. That's one of the Dan Holland racing mechanics there. He's got the nice mauve-coloured effort on his trainers. That's the spectator area over the Parc Fermé area where a lot of drivers and mechanics watch. But that concludes Senior X30 qualifying. Alex, up next, very shortly, will be Junior X30 qualifying.
Well, for those also here at the circuit, just by the Torsion Bar and Cafe, there is also the screen that was at Asda's in nearby Grantham yesterday. Had some more comments on Facebook. Siobhan Turney, Joe Turney, who is actually here this weekend as a driver coach, is an OTK factory driver. He recently took 4th place at the CIK FIA European Championships at Le Mans. Would have been second.
Single-seater career as well this year.
Well, it's now been that's not happening anymore. Recently announced on social media that he's not participating with Carlin in British Formula 4, but is sticking with OTK as a works factory driver, and he's going to the World Finals, the World Championships, I think is in Al-Harma in the Mika Salo circuit in Finland in early September, where a good friend of ours, Jake Sanson, will be commentating.
And a little known fact, did you know that his mum Siobhan is a world record holder?
That I didn't know. She's kept that one from me.
Yeah, most Facebook comments in the world ever. Ever. It's true. True. Fact.
I'll Google that later.
Yeah, I know that. See, don't
I'm not going to doubt you on that one. But no, I mean, Siobhan's a lovely lady. I met up with her because Joe actually last year won stormed the Crows, so to speak, at Karting Genk at the final round of the 2018 B&L Karting Series Senior Max Division and took the title. Literally, no one could touch him in qualifying over both days as the green flag now waves for our first of 2 Junior X30 qualifying sessions. 6 minutes in this one, which is Group 3. So we've got Alicia Barrett from BMR, we've got Tom Edgar with Fusion, amongst others as well. Oliver Bierman, one of the privateers, and the number 87, obviously a younger brother, I think, I understand is also
in Cadet Honda.
As well.
Week.
So we've got quite a lot of drivers and teams. Jude Feniho with Jack Dex, who was out on track just a moment ago. So a team boss, running drivers, but also racing himself. It's quite a prestigious honour here at the 2019 Motorsport UK Kartmasters British Grand Prix.
So we're looking at a couple of. There's Nicky Taylor, one of the drivers coming over from the Daniel Ricciardo series for this event in kart number 39 for the Mark Baines Motorsport. And the floodgates have opened Out come the rest of the field. They're in the gold crash helmet there. Just going to the bottom of your screen, that's Joseph Taylor. He leads the intermediate classification at the moment. He took a win in the 3rd place yesterday. Other heat wins went to Reggie Dewey and to Georgie Dimitrov. Caden McQueen, we'll see in a bit. He got 2 second places yesterday. Very, very close to the top of the Junior X30 point standings. The cut-off point at the moment, the top 30, who will go through to the main events by rights. They're Finley Dunn 31st, Mikhail Singh 32nd, Oliver Phillips 33rd, Oscar Joyce 34th, Nicky Taylor, who we saw briefly on screen there, 35th. They'll be looking to try and get into that top 30 in points in the next in their next 2 races. But once again, the Junior X30s, they're leaving it a little bit fine in terms of time. Well, they've got 3.5 minutes or so to go. A lot of them still sort of warming up their tyres. There's Alicia Barrett in the number 33 kart for the BMR restart team on the Zenon chassis. One of only 4 young ladies driving this weekend. Alice Stevens, Alicia Barrett, Abigail Ross.
Jessica Edgar as well.
Jessica Edgar, yes. So 255 drivers, only 4 girls, which is a little bit lower than usual, I have to say.
But it's still good to see them actually competing with a lot of the talent that we have here, and just showing that they are just as worthy to compete here this weekend here at PF International.
Well, I have to say that they're all very competitive. I mean, Abigail Ross has done quite well in the senior X30 class, and Ella Stevens is a top 10, top 12 contender in IAME. But I say this very lightly. Genuinely, I don't say this very lightly at all. Genuinely, Alicia Barrett and Jessica Edgar, realistic chances of winning this weekend. They have got race-winning pace. Of course, it's only Gabby Weyer, the only female Kartmasters champion. But I've got to say, in all fairness to Gabby, that was in Cadet WTB against a small field of questionable numbers. If Jessica or Alicia win this weekend, or even get on the podium, they're against an absolute top quality national and international field this weekend. There's Nicky Taylor, number 37, Mark Baines, Motorsport Kart. We'll send the translator down to the awning so that Nicky can understand what Frag's saying. Because it's normally, if it's not about football, it's normally some dribble.
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes as the last 10 or 15 seconds has gone by, as Harvey Charter from Litchfield Motorsport goes in with a 60.08 ahead of Oliver Bierman in the 87. Caden McQueen, Oliver Gray and Oren England in the 72 ran out the top 5 thus far.
Yeah, Harvey Charter very, very quick in qualifying yesterday, the number 229 kart. In fact, he was pole overall yesterday. Faded a little bit. He got a 3rd place in one of his heats. Faded to 11th in another heat. And there's Behrman. You can see Behrman slowing down on your screen there, going into the 2nd hairpin. And that is the problem, because that will then spoil Caden McQueen's lap in the 42, and also Harvey Charter, because they had to jink offline to avoid Behrman, who was slowing down. We've got just under 2 minutes to go. I've got a feeling that a couple of top contenders are going to get caught out in these next few minutes.
I mean, especially when you consider the fact that the top 15 is separated by less than a second. Fahad Al-Khaled from Biralat Middle East in the 110 was 11th, just drops to 12th position. Maybe make that towards just outside of the top 15 at the moment. It's Joseph Taylor from Strawberry Racing goes top ahead of Joshua McLean from Fusion, with Caden McQueen from CNC Promotion in 42. Alicia Barrett now jumps up into the bottom part of the top 5. The BMR drivers just put in a 59.72. We're coming to the last 60 seconds of qualifying, and the top 14, which is actually rounded out by Oliver Bierman, is separated by 9/10. And the top 13 have gone sub 60 seconds around here at PF.
Well, Joseph Taylor, number 21, with the gold crash helmet we've just seen on screen. We were looking at him. He's leading this big train of karts coming onto the back straight now. Taylor is going to be the one that's cutting the air, and everyone else is going to be taking advantage. There's Sam Heading going through. His dad, I said, is climbing Mount Kilimanjaro for charity. I mean, why don't you just go to Tesco's and put your 20 quid in the charity box? Why you want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro for it, I don't know. But it's to raise money for the air ambulance. Maybe that's because I'm just a really unfit person. But on to the start-finish straight now, so 20 seconds to go. Oliver Behrman's now gone quickest. Alicia Barrett is 2nd. Taylor, on screen at the moment, going out onto the banking, has dropped down to 4th. Oliver Gray has come up to 3rd. You can see Joseph Taylor flashing across the screen there, coming down the hill. He's got no one to slipstream off, but he's got no one that's slipstreaming him from behind.
Tom Edgar rounds out the top 5, the entire 24 strong in this Junior X30 qualifying session, as the checkered flag now waves on the start-finish line, all separated by 1.8, but with the drivers on their last flying lap attempt here, Henry, I would expect that it depends. We've had someone go purple, and that's Josh McLean from Fusion. He's just gone purple in Sector 1. Joseph Taylor has gone purple in Sector 2 with an 18.46. And he's only
in traffic.
And Taylor's now got the advantage to put in that flying lap that really could put him up at the top. So it's Bierman, Barrett, Gray, Taylor and Edgar. Well, Taylor goes 4th, Edgar goes top initially, then it's quickly McQueen, Charter, Bierman. So Caden McQueen from CNC Promotion goes in at a 58.81, and Harvey Charter being the only other driver to go sub 59 seconds.
Caden McQueen, you can see him going through there in kart number 42, coming off the bridge there. He showed that Mad Croc has got a bit of a bite about it. Excuse the pun. He was running behind.
There's no puns here, Henry. No, you know that.
Thank you very much. Hero weekend. And Luke Charter, Harvey Charter, who was following Caden in the number 229 Litchfield Motorsport kart, managed to get another good qualifying effort in. Behrman 3rd. Edgar was briefly top of the charts. Was Tom Edgar. Josh Torpey, excellent result for Josh Torpey in the second of the Litchfield Motorsport karts. Those are the green and white karts with the bright orange stripe down the side. I'm looking to see where Josh Torpey wound up at the end of the day yesterday, and the answer is he wasn't in the top 15 in points at the moment. In fact, he was 27th, so that's good for Josh Torpey because you get a bit of, you're going to have a couple of good heat starts. That puts him in a position to maybe solidify his position in the main event tomorrow. But McQueen, Charter, Behrman, Edgar, Torpey and Barrett, your top 6. Oliver Gray, Alex, driver that is doing very well in the British Championship and the European Championship this year.
Yep.
Dan Holland Racing, only 7th, and Joseph Taylor down in 8th.
But only 2/10 off of the pace that McQueen put in, and that was a really good, well-timed lap. I mean, obviously, Oliver Behrman, you mentioned just then, was stuck in traffic, and it's very interesting when you see how qualifying sort of in a way puts the proverbial cat amongst the pigeons, because you never know where that driver might end up, and when they're jockeying for position to get that track position at its absolute optimum, they may, the driver might think, yeah, I'm exactly where I need to be, and then the mechanic might, the team boss or whoever's on the spectator gantry might be saying, oh no, he should have actually waited about 10 more seconds and we would have been exactly where we needed to be. But sometimes that's the Russian roulette of qualifying, so to speak.
Yes, indeed, but that's the first half of Junior X30 qualifying in the history books. The second half will be coming up very shortly.
Well, it's the second half of Junior X30 qualifying. For those watching at home, thank you very much, wherever you are in the world. Don't forget to interact with both myself and Henry all the way throughout the day through social media. So we're broadcasting live via the Alpha Live Facebook page, the Downforce Radio Facebook page, the Trent Valley Kart Club Facebook page, and also the predominant amount of comments we're getting is from the Alpha Live YouTube channel. So realistically, we've got a lot of action over the next day. And tomorrow as well, when we go into what is effectively crunch time for the GP plates. And I tell you what, even though I've only been on comms with you for 45 minutes, I can just sense
feels
that.
Feels like a lifetime, I know what you're
No,
saying.
I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say,
I'm
already feeling, when you just get like, sort of like the hairs stand on the back of your neck, where you get that anticipation of what could be a really, really good end to the weekend. I have that sort of feeling about it. Whenever I go to a race weekend, end up in the commentary box, I think, you know what, this really could be a cracking weekend of action. And to be honest, with the talent that we've got here this weekend, Henry, I don't think it's going to be any different.
Oh no, it's going to be superb indeed. Well, a few more people being supported on Facebook. Harvey Charter getting quite a bit of love on social media at the moment. Max Mayer, who's wishing all the guys in Fusion Motorsport, the guys and girls, a good Fusion, giving the guys in Fusion Motorsport a bit of good luck.
You've had a bit of love from love being sent your way from Siobhan.
I love you too, Sean. I love you too, Siobhan. And Ollie Westover, Louis Westover's, Louis Westover's old man. I don't know call him old man. He's his dad. So good to see Ollie. I can't wait to see him at a kart meeting sooner or later. But we're waiting now for the first couple of laps to come in the second half of
Well, first out on track,
Junior
first out going through the Fullerton S's is the number 66 of Reggie Dewey.
Yes, Mr. Excitement.
Yes, I remember seeing on YouTube, I think it was last year, that he started nigh on stone dead last in one race and came through the field to win it.
Well, and yes, he
and
did.
I think it was here. I think it was here, if memory serves me correctly as well. So we know what Reggie is definitely capable of when his back is against the wall, and he puts in the first bank lap of a 1:02.10 ahead of Blake Anglis from one of the privateers, Zach Casey in the 46. It's funny enough, same race number as MotoGP's Valentino Rossi.
Ah, yes,
so
yes.
There might be a few numerical reference points to other forms of motorsport.
Alex Albon's first number in karting was 46 because he was a big Rossi fan. But I know that just because I'm sad. I'm an anorak.
Hey, that makes two of us.
So on track at the moment, we saw the PF plates. That's Blake Anglis on the MS driver, a Scottish-based driver now, Scottish-born driver now, based in Coventry. And I noticed that his dad was proudly saying that at the end of the first day of action, they got a special graphics kit. And end of the first day, his nose cone, his NASA panel was scuff-free, and still showing off all his sponsor logos very clearly. Now on track at the moment, there's number 41 car. That's Harry Cottrell, the S8 racing driver. So we got on the Fullerton chassis.
Yeah.
Designed by Terry Fullerton and run by Terry Fullerton. And of course, the Fullerton S's are named after the multiple British karting champion, named by none other than Senna as his greatest rival in all of racing.
Yes.
Terry has had a couple of free dinners on that comment. I can tell you that for nothing.
Yes, and also there was the. I had a really good interview with Terry a few years ago, and it was one of those. I actually asked him what his toughest race was, and it was actually at Hagen in Germany.
You didn't say it was the race at the bar at the end of the day, because that was normally
no, that wasn't. Unfortunately, there was no alcohol topic discussed on that interview, but he said that literally he was driving along and he heard this, what sounded like a whooshing noise, but what he actually found it to be was the crowd around him, because, you know, obviously back in those days, karting wasn't just like a 2 or a 3 day event. It was like a whole proper week where you went into qualifying, pre-qualifying. And it was just, he just said, I didn't realise what it was until somebody told me. They said, it was the crowd around you, Terry, because like the stands were packed out. And we're talking like the 1970s, 1980s. And with Ayrton Senna being the one saying that, you know, out of everybody that I've raced, you know, Terry Fullerton was, you know, I mean, he's sort of like, you know, people say, yeah, Alain Prost, you had a bit of a ding-dong with him, didn't you, at McLaren? But then to have that proper rivalry, as I've just seen a very familiar face in the, I think it's the number 26 of Finley Dunn, running on the Ralf Schumacher chassis under the SFR Motorsport team banner. Good to catch up with Mike Spencer yesterday evening, because he's staying at the same hotel as me. So if you see a glare from the paddock, you know it's from SFR Motorsport.
On the top of his head, yes. Yeah. I know. All right, so Rashan Chigarimbo has gone quickest, number 92 for the Fusion Motorsport team. We're still watching Harry Cottrell on screen. Harry, and there's a couple of drivers running very wide.
That includes, Ginchard Dunn going wide there. Ginchard running the 54, currently 13th, as Dewey goes top with 59.19. That's an impressive lap, 4/10 quicker than Blake Anglis at the moment, Henry.
Yeah, and Reggie won his one of his heats yesterday. He was 2.5 seconds in front on the last lap, but then he decided to slow down and cool his tyres, and he ended up beating Caden McQueen by about 1/10 of a second. So he's running scared this morning, because Belinda and Dave and Mark Baines, the team boss, almost took him out the back of the paddock and beat him with a large stick. For almost doing that. So Reggie's got his head on today. He's not going to be giving anyone an inch. Sam Shaw up in the second, but Ivan Lomliev on another of the Ralf Schumacher karts goes quickest of all now for Coles Racing. 59.08 for the number 227 driver. Just going through your screen there on the bank. Oh, and there's a problem there. Somebody has spun it, or that looks like with an engine has seized and has spun that drive around, and we can't quite get the number. It's the number 11. It's the number 111 kart. That is one of our Middle East
Abdullah
drivers.
Al-Dosari.
Yes, from Saudi Arabia.
Who got his taste of wet racing yesterday afternoon, I might add.
Yep, never driven in the wet before yesterday.
No, but at the moment, with 35 seconds remaining on the clock, Lomliev leads qualifying ahead of Dewey, Anglis, Shaw, Walker, Dimitrov and Chigarimbo rounding out the top 7. They are separated by less than 4/10 at the moment, and Dan Ginchard at the moment, he's struggling a little bit here. He's 1.5 seconds off the pace down in 22nd. Alessandro Cerinetti from Fusion Motorsport jumps up into 12th position as Tom Levin gets deposed by Aaron Walker from Strawberry Racing for second at the moment. Dewey rounding out the top 4, all separated by just over a tenth.
Well, I was looking at the last lap. Will Murdoch for ST Racing, the number 93 car, purple first sector, really good middle sector. Then something went wrong in the last sector. I'll be waiting to say this. He's going to be absolutely howling mad at that lap didn't come together. Howling mad Murdoch there, down in 18th or 19th place. There's the number 94 kart off the circuit. Alfie Brooks doing double duty this weekend on the RS kart chassis. So the checker flag has come out. At the moment, it's Lomniev, Aaron Walker, Tom Leben. Dewey has crossed the line in 4th place. Anglis is 5th. Shaw is 6th. What are we going to see from Aaron Walker?
Walker's just gone purple in Sector 2, an 18.45. That is quite impressive because that's nearly 3/10 quicker than Lomliev in the second sector. So Lomliev, Leben and Walker are about to come through the Mike Wilson complex. They fly across the line. Jamie Day from KR Sport goes top. Dimitrov goes 3rd ahead of behind Tyler Reed. Lomliev down in 5th ahead of Serenetti from Fusion Motorsport. Reggie Dewey ends up 9th at the end of that session.
Yeah, I think he just crossed the line a little bit too early. Day, Reed, Dimitrov, Walker, Lomliev, they were all in a group together, as well as with Tom Leben, who's gone 8th. Murdoch up to 7th, so he did finally hook a lap together. Serenetti is 6th. That's a lot better than what he did yesterday. He was another driver that overtook an awful lot of drivers yesterday. Serenetti qualified only 42nd, but he ended up to 6th, 2 top 15 finishes. There's Anshul Gandhi, the driver for the MLC Motorsport team, 18th. Looking down the order, so 1 second separating the top 17. Daniel Ginchard, the 54 driver, driver that you know well, Alex. Yesterday he was top 3 in his first heat before a retirement. So Daniel is up against it, and looking down at some of the drivers that need to be getting in there. Well, Harry Cottrell we saw a lot of. He finished 22nd. Charlie Rippon didn't go out, or he only did 1 lap. Vijay Ramlal, one of the Daniel Ricciardo series converts for this weekend. Only 24th in that session.
Yeah, Aldosari having not the best of luck, obviously, with the as they're just about to recover the kart just off of turn 3. Could have had a bit more of an impact in that session, but maybe could have even got into the top 20, maybe even into the top 15. But the top 10, Jamie Day takes pole in that session ahead of Tyler Reed, Georgi Dimitrov, Aaron Walker, Ivan Lomliev, Alessandro Cenenetti, Will Murdoch, Tom Leben, Reggie Dewey and Blake Anglis rounding out the top 10. And they were all separated by just over 4/10 of a second ahead of Sam Shaw, Douglas Bolger, Rashan Chigarimbo, Daryl Taylor and Daniel Amazigo from BMR rounding out the top 15 with Leigh, Ginchard, Gandhi, Brooks, Ellingham, Dunn, Cottrell, Casey, Ramlam, Aldosari and Charlie Rippin. Not also having a good qualifying session. Best lap from the MLC driver was 7 seconds off the pace. So it's again, we're going to see some drivers that are going to have to, as I said earlier, they're going to have to sink or swim. It's difficult to say what's going to happen in the heats a little bit later on, with Junior X30 kicking their first heat off at 11:50 local time here at PF International.
So you can see the white flag being displayed from the start line. That signals there's a slow-moving vehicle on track. In this case, it's the recovery vehicle, just bringing Aldosari's kart back to the paddock. Yes, next up will be Cadet Honda timed qualifying. Just looking down there, you can see the Parc Ferme area behind those grey barriers there. That's where the karts go at the end of each qualifying session. But up next will be Cadet Honda.
Right, now we get things underway well and truly for Honda Cadet. They were in action at their latest rounds 7 and 8 of the 2019 Motorsport UK British Kart Championships, where I was the official commentator. We've got quite a few regular faces, some of which are doing double duty this weekend, one of which is Japan's Keen Nakamura Berta. He's doing IAME Cadet and Honda Cadet in the British Kart Championships this year. Bradley Bick, the O-Plate, Connor Duncan, Sonny Smith from Synergy Racing, amongst others. Yihan Kalichan, I've commentated on him since around about 2017. One of the local circuits to me is Rye House Kart Raceway, based in Hoddesdon, Lewis Hamilton's original stomping ground when he started at around 7 or 8 years of age, as the Honda Roar now roars around here at PF International. as they all are going to be getting their times in pretty quickly. Honda Cadet, it is even closer sometimes than some of the other categories that I've commentated on this year. And I'm not expecting anything else, as that was very sideways there. That looked to be Gerald McDowell, one of the privateers, going sideways, coming out of the Lichfield Bridge. As you can see, it is nearly 6 abreast at points at the circuit going into the first hairpin.
Well, that's not good. There's 4 karts coming together at the first hairpin there. That's
make
about
that
5 or 6.
That's about 5,
dear.
as one's just gone over the back bumper of somebody else. I'm just going to keep an eye out.
It was the 34 of Jaden Gregg who got caught up there. I think everyone managed to get themselves back in, hopefully with no damage. The 71
Oh, we've had
karts.
one go off as well. Another one's gone off at the Fullerton S's. And looks to have tagged. That is Miles Turnbull from V Motorsport. Looks to have tagged the barriers slightly, but he's trying to get back underway out onto the circuit.
Yes, that was a bit of a fraught start to the Cadet Honda session. A capacity field of 36 drivers. And now we're going to talk about slipstreaming. No class epitomises slipstreaming better than what you're on screen. You can see there the number 72 kart and the number 93. That's Joe Cheek is being pushed along by Josh Patch there.
Yes.
And eight wheels, I say it all the time, 8 wheels working in harmony are always quicker than 4 wheels working on their own. And the 93 of Patch is the head of this train. Everyone else is going to be, and he's not anymore because Joe Cheek has just gone past him. I'm happy to say that the number 43 kart of Miles Turnbull has regained the track.
Ben Rayburn's actually just slotted in behind Josh Patch going through the second hairpin there, but Patch has recently come back from injury at his local track, Rye House, of course. He suffered a cracked rib and actually competed in the IKR final for Honda Cadets. He's been back on the recovery trail over the last 3 weeks, has sat out of the kart, recovered. I know his dad very, very well as well. He's running with, I'm just trying to remember, SFR Motorsport. So he's another young driver that has been trying to do his best to get back on the recovery trail. As I said earlier on, Mitchell Gibbons, first reserve for this event. Him and his mum, they spoke to me last week at Shennington. They said, if anyone drops out, please just let us know. And I said, look, I don't control the entries. I'm just the hired help in the commentary box.
Well, he's the only person in the top 10 of the current British Championship standings that's not here. You've got Kian Nakamura Berta, who's the second in the British Championships, is here. So is Jack Hobson, who's third. Other top 10 drivers: Tom Yeomans, Oscar Chewton,
Ethan Simmons as well, who's part of the young driver.
Ewan Charman, Jaden Gregg, we've just seen, Jack Hobson, Sonny Smith, Connor Durkin. So, Mitchell's going to be watching his rivals compete, but he suppose the British Championship is something that he's going to be focusing on. And you can see drivers on the screen now just moving aside. There's the number 5 kart of Kian Nakamura Berta, a very special livery, Project 1 livery. That's black, red and green as opposed to the usual Project 1 racing livery of white, red and green for this event. Nakamura Berta following the number 63 kart of Harley Mason. Now Mason yesterday didn't finish higher than 21st, so you can imagine that Nakamura Berta wants to kind of make a move on Mason and get ahead of him, because he's going to be slowing him down. There he goes, almost on cue.
And Connor Duncan, in the meantime, Rylan Eschberg, newly signed with Ambition Motorsport just before the round at Shennington went top. Then it's Oscar Chewton. Josh Agenbar from Cutting Edge rounds out the top 3 ahead of the current O-Plate champion Connor Duncan with Heinz Racing. Yihan Kalichern rounds out the top 5 ahead of Reese Lomax, Jai Lawrence, Jaden Gregg, who won final 2 of the in the Honda Cadet class at
it's getting a little bit tasty coming into the first
hairpin a few weeks ago. He didn't have the best time, if I'm completely honest, back at Shennington last week. Nakamura Berta's out of the top 10 at the moment.
And he's just been bounced over the grass as well, coming out of the first hairpin. He's lost a bit of track position. The 77 of Oscar Chewton on screen at the moment, coming into the second hairpin. Now he's travelling a little way behind that snarling pack that we were just focusing on. Yeah. He's gone quickest. Ryan Ashberg, very, very impressive in qualifying yesterday. Also, didn't quite have the pace in the races. He went back a little bit, maybe a little bit of racecraft. If he's struggling a little bit in terms of being up at the front. He's just moved teams, so he's now with Paul Jane's Ambition Motorsport team, so they've given him a chance to show his true pace. But there's the O plate now of Oscar Duncan, making a move to Connor Duncan, sorry. He's still behind Oscar Chewton on the timesheets. It's Chewton, Agenbar, Eschberg, then Behrman, Thomas Behrman, younger brother of Oliver Behrman. He's got the 5th now. Jaden Gregg goes 2nd for the Heinz Racing team. Agenbar for Steve Cutting's Cutting Edge Racing outfit is 3rd. Then it's Ashberg, Behrman, Harry Gregory, Jocelyn, Crowther. So the 36 drivers looking at some of the contenders for from yesterday, well, Ethan Simmons is only 23rd in Kart 23. Jack Hobson is only 20th in Kart 23. Oh, and there's two drivers there that are going off the 22 and the 78.
There's a bit more bumping and boring going through the second hairpin. That involved the likes of the number 6 and number 5, which is Keen Nakamura Berta. Number 6 being Sonny Smith from Synergy. So it is getting a bit feisty out there. 18 seconds on the clock. Oscar Teuton has just gone purple in Sector 1 with a 23.81. That is nearly 0.2 of a second quicker than Jaden Gregg from Heinz Racing. Josh Agenbar, Rylan Eschberg, Thomas Bierman rounding out the top 5, all separated by about 0.6. But I have to say, though, Henry, I'm looking at the bottom part, well, towards the bottom part of the order. As Connor Duncan goes 10th, Nakamura Berta puts it up to 6th place as Oscar Teuton goes in with a 67.92, just fractionally ahead, well, nearly 2.5 of a second in front of Sonny Smith. Jaden Gregg up to 3rd ahead of Josh Agenbar. Rylan Eschberg, who actually made the switch from Project 1 to Ambition Motorsport prior to last weekend's Motorsport UK British Kart Championships event at Shennington. And he's looking to get into the top 10 in the Motorsport UK overall standings. He's got a bit of work to do, but I tell you what, he did a great job at Fullbeck, taking 3rd place, having battled with the leaders all the way through the race. So, you know, I know I've got to know Paul James, the Ambition Motorsport team principal. Not a traditional sort of team, if you will, more of a privateer team, and I've got to know a few of the drivers there. There is one I have to mention here who suffers from ADHD. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and he's known as Fast Freddy Hull, the number 99. He
Fast Freddy, where he emerged in
22nd
place. So Teuton, Smith, Gregg, Agenbar, Eschberg, Nakamura Berta salvages 6th place there, and that was a bit of a salvage operation because he was getting beaten around in that session quite a lot. Behrman, Gregory, Duncan slipped to 9th, and Henry Jocelyn rounding out the top 10. Looking at the actual standings at the moment, the 2 heat winners yesterday, well, Oscar Teuton retired from his first heat, or he had an engine problem, then he came through to win heat number 2, and the first heat winner, Keen Nakamura Berta, slipped to 15th in heat number 2, so the driver that was consistent yesterday, Ethan Simmons, a pair of second place finishes, he leads the intermediate standings at the moment. Jaden Gregg and Ethan Simmons, he didn't have a great time there. That's a fantastic shot. There's a master at his work on your screen there, Chris Walker from kartpicks.net, and best in the business, having a brief break in between proceedings, just having a look at his camera. But it's Ethan Simmons, where is the number 23?
19th, Ethan 19th. Simmons. I was very much corrected on that, so it is Ethan Simmons. The I is silent. But next up, we have our next qualifying session, which is Senior Rotax.
So, Senior Rotax, for the first 4 years of this class's existence here at Kartmasters, it was the domain of Mike Simpson. He won this class in 2000, 2001, 2002, and 2003. I'm very pleased to see that the Senior Rotax class returning last year. There was no Senior Rotax GP plate in 2016 or 2017, but it came back with a bang in 2018. Joe Turney won an absolutely superb race.
Yes.
We've got 29 drivers set to do battle of course. Yesterday, led by Ben Barnacote. A lot of the 29 drivers, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 of them are doing double duty. Eduardo Cossateng, Jordan Brown-Nutley, Barnacote, Gilbert, Lewis Malin, Phil Rawson, Ben Donkin, and Clayton Ravenscroft. This class, of the 29 entries, 2, 4, 6 former GP plate winners. We've got Luke Wood, the E plate holder. He won the 2012.
Well, it looks like... now,
update on Mechanic Bingo.
Now, I've just spotted someone in the middle there. That's Dan Ginchard with the blonde hair and the... Morning, Dan. Give us a wave.
Oh, I think they're not sure.
No, they're not paying any attention. They want to see what's happening.
They stand down there, so they don't have to listen to us drivel on. There's Abby Ross as well for Nick Barrett Racing. She's watching the start of Senior Rotax time qualifying. But yeah, Luke Wooder, E-plate holder, the former champ. Miles Apps in Kart 7, 2016 Junior Rotax GP plate winner. Barnacote, we've said, he's won 7 titles. Lewis Gilbert, last year's Junior Rotax GP plate winner. Phil Rawson, 2012 Minimax GP plate winner. That was one heck of a race he won that. Thankfully it was before the nose cone rule came in, otherwise it could be very different. But Clayton Ravenscroft, last year's Junior X30 GP plate winner. So 29 drivers from the Philippines, from Ireland, Scotland, Sweden. Robin Knudsen, who a driver that you're very familiar with.
Yeah, Robin Knudsen, who's currently running in the B&L Karting Series as well as the Rotax Max Euro Trophy. It's been a difficult season at times for Robin, especially in the B&L, but I've seen him definitely provide some great drives throughout the 2018-2019 season, and I'm looking forward to seeing if someone from overseas can steal a march on everybody else. And I think that, you know, Robin Knudsen is one of many fast Swedes that I've had the chance of commentating on. Hannes Morin, last year's inaugural Rotax Max Euro Trophy champion, who's now running with Brink Motorsport in the Audi RS3 in TCR Scandinavia. And there was Ludwig Morin, who's part of the Morin Racing Academy, gave me a little bit of a teaser earlier on the season. I'm going to reveal what he said to me, which was basically, don't be at all surprised if Hannes comes back in karting. He went to Wackersdorf for the IAME X30 Euro Series and finished 4th overall behind fellow Swede Matilda Olsson, who's also a very, very accomplished senior Rotax driver. She's leading the standings by a considerable margin going into Wackersdorf at the season finale. And I think she's pretty much got the title and a ticket to the grand finals in Sarno. So second successive season where the Euro Trophy has had 2 Swedish drivers in the same category take the top step of the podium. But I'm waiting for that confirmation in full when I get to Wackersdorf early September.
All right, so you say you've known a couple of fast Swedes. I've known a couple of fast Swedes in my time as well, but that's a different story. Probably not with this audience.
No,
Ben
definitely
Barnecoat.
not PC.
There's only one PG, I know that. Ben Barnecoat, cart number 24, on screen at the moment. Looking at some of the social media thing there, Marcus Littlewood giving a good luck shout out to James Lowther and George Smith. James Lowther, the PF plate holder in this class. George Smith, the Liam Wright racing driver in kart number 27. Another driver that we're going to talk about, Nathan Chafer in kart number 99, privateer driver on the CRG chassis. He's currently 10th in the British Rotax 177 class, which is obviously not running here, so he's only a couple of kilos over the 162 weight limit for this class, but he's a privateer driver doing extremely well. 2.5 minutes to go.
And I get a WhatsApp message from my good friend from Germany, Mike Wagner. He just said, "Hi mate, can you check something for me?" Yes, Mike, I'll do that later. Thanks for giving me the message.
Clayton Ravenscroft goes fastest of all. So Clayton, the driver from Hedge End, currently leading the British Senior X30 Championship. Last year's Junior X30 GP plate winner, 57.71. Jason Lockwood, second, number 58 kart for KR Sport. On your screen is Barnecoat, and at the moment Ben Barnecoat is 3rd fastest, but on a very quick lap. Purple middle sector for Barnecoat. He comes out of the Mike Wilson complex, crouching down behind the NASA panel.
Goes top. 57.42. Gilbert, second. Holbrook. Reese Hunter, the O-Plate champion, gets dropped down to 5th by Eduardo Cosateng from KR Sport. With Ravenscroft, who I think, if memory serves me correctly, was actually last year's B&L Karting Series Junior Max Vice Champion, but also as a result of that, Mike Van Vugt, who won the title last year, already got a ticket to Brazil, to Conde Pareba. So as a result of that, Clayton inherited the ticket, and I was there to watch that all unfold. Miles Zapps now jumps up into 13th as Brown Nutley goes up into 7th position. Lewis Mallon from MLR in the 31 just goes ahead of Jason Lockwood. Top 13, Henry, separated by just over 0.4 of a second into the last 90 seconds of qualifying here.
Yes, you were looking at Ben Barnecoat on the screen. About 20 kart lengths behind Ben Barnecoat is the number 29 kart of Lewis Gilbert. Well, it was Gilbert just behind him. And
Lowther goes top. PF plate goes top.
So good result there for Lowther for the Coles Racing team.
Ravenscroft in the meantime has gone purple and 18 flat, sector 2. Ravenscroft from KR Sport on a flyer.
So it's Lowther, Barnecoat, Gilbert, Cosateng, Hunter, Ravenscroft, Holbrook, Brown, Nutley, Wooder and David Sutton, the top 10. There is the number 29 of Lewis Gilbert. He was positioning himself about 20 kart lengths behind Ben Barnecoat, but he's got Lowther getting a great slipstream. So it's Lowther on your screens now, coming up the short chute out of the second hairpin, who is currently fastest. I'm not quite sure. Ravenscroft has gone second quickest. So it's still Lowther with a 57.26 hanging on with 30 seconds to go. He's got a really good toe from Lewis Gilbert, a good middle sector from Lowther. Gilbert's had a good first sector, but not particularly quick to the middle sector. Let's see if they can, well, let's see if Gilbert can depose Lowther.
Barnacote goes second with a 19.01, fastest of anybody in sector number 3. Ravenscroft has just done an 18.16. That's a tenth and a half down on sector 2 from the last lap he did. Currently sitting in 4th ahead of Lewis Gilbert. So Lowther still occupying the top spot. Barnacote's got to find at least half a tenth as the timer expires now. That is it. Checkered flag waves for senior Rotax qualifying 2.
And Ravenscroft has already taken the checkered flag, but didn't improve. Only 4th fastest at the moment. I tell you who's going to improve. Lewis Gilbert's on a very, very good lap. Purple first sector for the number 29 Kart. Coming into the Fullerton S, now being chased by James Lowther. So Lowther hanging on to provisional pole, but the driver he's chasing, number 29, Scotland's Lewis Gilbert, is coming into the Mike Wilson complex and on a good lap. Oh,
it's
going to
be tight. I'm not too sure if Gilbert's going to make it, but he put in that brilliant sector 1, but he lost a bit of time in sector 2. Gilbert's about to cross the start-finish line now, doesn't make it, 5th place.
Reese Hunter, the O plate, he crosses the line, goes 3rd. So James Lowther, the PF plate driver from Bishop's Auckland up in the north of England, local track, Warden Law, represented Team Great Britain in last year's Rotax World Finals, takes pole position, beating Ben Barnacote by 0.04 of a second. Hunter was 3rd, Ravenscroft 4th, Gilbert 5th, Brown Nutley 6th. What a top 6 that is. Eduardo Cosseteng, again, fantastic, getting used to British karting now in the last year and a half or so. He's 7th, George Holbrook 8th, former champion, Miles Apps 9th, David Sutton, former British junior Rotax champion back in about 2006. Sutton is 10th, then it's Nathan Chafer 11th, Jason Lockwood 12th, Lingard 13th, Philip Rawson 14th, and Luke Wooder 15th. You're looking at that there, that is 6 former GP plate winners in the top 15 of that qualifying session.
And they were separated, the top 15 separated by just over half a second. And then you look a little bit further back with Ben Burgess, Lewis Mallon and Ben Donkin being within 5.5 tenths. So again, another close qualifying session, top 26 with Ryan Garvey from SPR on the number 30. He was less than a second off the pace, but down in 26th position. It's as you said earlier on, the qualifying, if you are I mean, I've seen qualifying sessions where it's been decided by 1/1000th of seconds, and you could, I think there was a great quote that I got from Andy Prio when he was racing in DTM, and he said, like, literally, if you are a 10.5 off the pace, you could be 3rd or you could be 15th. And that's very much the case here in the qualifying stages.
Well, that is the senior Rotax qualifying session finished. The juniors are up next.
Right, so after the intermediate classification following yesterday's activities, Tom Adams, who has successfully, for the 2nd year in a row, held the English E-plate. Well done to that young man. I know his dad, Chris. Tom's been racing also in the B&L Karting Series, currently 7th in the standings thus far. Kai Hunter, for those wondering where he races overseas, he's been racing in the Rotax Max Euro Trophy and the B&L Karting Series, but not as a junior. He's been racing as a senior in the same
sharing
boat.
A grid with his brother. That's going to...
Yes,
Poor Mr. and Mrs. Hunter. That's all I've got to say about that.
But he's running in the top 6 in Euro and also top 8 in B&L. So he's got, I think, you know, the transfer can be quite easily made for Kai, I think, probably going into next season. He's shown his pedigree. He's shown very, very quick pace, just like his brother. And you put those two together, and when they work together in qualifying, it is a joy to behold. Matty Hingley rounds out the top 3 ahead of Ben Casey, Oliver Behrman, also, again, doing double duty. Will Jenkins, Dan Parron-Smith, a.k.a. this year's Kartmasters British Grand Prix, Jensen Button. So I'm sure his dad, Nick, will be very happy about that little quote I've thrown his way. But he rounds out the top 7, having won his 2nd heat by, what was it, nigh on 15 seconds yesterday. Yes,
it was a fantastic performance. And looking at the list, there's 3 drivers in this class that are doing 2 classes. They're doing double duty. Harvey Reeby, the PSX and racing driver on the Paralin chassis. Oliver Behrman, who's a privateer on a Tony kart in this class. And Alfie Brooks, the SFR Motorsport driver kart number 94. So those three are doing double duty. Obviously, looking at the intermediate classifications, Matty Hingley, well, obviously the younger brother of Ben Hingley, who is now doing a bit of driver coaching, was running for the Ultimate R team. Yesterday, in the heats that Parens won, obviously if you were on slick tyres like Parren Smith was and Chaz Heighton was, you were sitting pretty. If you were on wet tyres, you were struggling. But Matty Hingley, he was third in the race. He was the best wet tyre shod driver by about 12 seconds. It was a fantastic performance from Matty. It's the first time I've actually come across Matty at a kart circuit, so it was a bit of a surprise to me. Oh, and there's been a problem. Oh dear.
Oh my goodness
that
me.
Is one of that's Chaz
that's Oliver
Heighton.
Duffel and also the number 92 of Chaz Heighton.
They've managed to crash coming out of the dummy grid area. It takes a special kind of talent to do that.
I'm not even going there on that one.
But they both got going again, hopefully with no lasting damage. You can see the drivers moving over and sort of finding someone to play with in qualifying. There's the PF plate. James Winter for the Team 698, Team 698 Racing. Taylor Babs in the number 29 car. He was getting a bit of love on social media earlier on, people asking to wish Taylor good luck. Taylor in that number 29 car. There is one of the Coles Racing karts flashing across
99.
the line.
Well, I think it might have been 96, which could be...
It was Ben Maxim for Coles Racing, the driver from Sudbury. We're sort of settling down now, Alex. Drivers have got a banker lap in, and now a lot of them are on their first flying lap.
Well, Tom Adams is leading the way by nearly 0.3 of a second with a 61.21. Taylor Babs, well, actually, as I say that, Ben Casely from KR Sport hits the top of the timesheets on a 1 minute 1.14. William Walker, Oliver Behrman, well, Declan Russell, one of the privateers, and then it's Oscar Hall. Two privateers, 1-2 at the top, and they are both very close to breaking the 60-second barrier. Kai Hunter's got a bit of work to do from 17th. He's currently running on a 63.54. Butts has gone purple in Sector 1. Sector 2, it's just gone to Tom Adams with an 18.58. That is almost a tenth and a half as Louis Weaver gets second. Madison Foley gets second now as Weaver drops to third. Winter in fourth, the PF champion. Tom Adams retakes the top spot and goes in with a brilliant 59.17, 2 tenths quicker than Babs. Edgeby Maxim now rounds out the top. Nice work by Matthew Higgins there, the number 75, been running in the B&L karting series alongside the British Kart Championships this year, the youngster from Wales, running the 75 number. And has a very, very nice livery. I think it was very much resplendent of you know when you get that, you ever remember the Lucky Strike and BAR 555 livery that they had back in the 90s?
Yes.
It's very reminiscent of that.
Yes, it is. It looks a bit American from the same, but half of it is sort of like it's not red, it's sort of a deep rustic orange, and then half of it metallic blue, which is very good. There on your screen is number 45 kart of William Walker, the Scotsman from Bothwell.
Currently 27th on a 1 minute 1.5 second. 7 has just done a 21.85 Sector 1, 18.9. Fastest in Sector 1, however, is Team of Vargo's number 42 of Joshua Wilby. Currently sitting in 11th position as Egby goes top, followed by Wilby, Casely, Lawrenson, Adams down in 5th place at the moment.
I have to correct you there, Alex. You were giving David Sutton and his crew far too much credit. Avago sounds very sort of it's proper northern. It's Avago.
Avago, if you think you're...
Avago karting.
Yes.
Up north it is.
I might as well just change that to give it a go then.
Yeah. Egby is still fast. Number 42 kart, Josh Wilby, the Avago karting. 25th in last year's Junior X30 GP plate was Josh. He's doing a lot better this year in Junior Rotax. Ben Casey and the number 80 kart of Hugh Lawrenson is next. Then it's Tom Adams. So Adams and Matty Hingley. Matty Hingley is 7th behind Kieran Kay in the number 73 kart. Where's Kai Hunter?
He's down in 8th position on a 59.1. He's just on an 18.5 through Sector 2. Casey went purple in Sector number 1 on a 20.47. Ellswood, Jenkins, Bierman, Hunter now hits the top, 58.72, matched by Higgins, who crossed the start-finish line second. So as a result of that, for those watching at home, if a driver sets a lap time first and someone's equalled it, the person that sets the lap time first gets the position on merit.
Well, that was a whole flurry of changes there. The drivers, with 10 seconds to go, we're watching the number 77 on screen. That's Will Egley for the Project One racing team. Taylor Babs, the number 29 kart, is following him. There's Taylor on screen, and Sarah Tuffin's wishing Taylor good luck on our social media coverage. The checkered flag is out, so Babs is going to be taking the checkered flag first. Is he on a decent lap?
Well, Egby's on a pretty decent lap. He's done an 18.4 through Sector 2. That's the fastest out of anybody. Puts a 20.88 and doesn't improve.
No, that's poor.
19.6, so through the last part of it, through the Fullerton S's, through the Mike Wilson complex. Seems like Egby had a bit of a stumble there.
Well, there goes the field across the line. Kai Hunter's time, Kai Hunter 58.60, right at the end there to hammer home the message to his rivals that he's not to be messed with today. Higgins went second, Casely third, Egby fourth, Oliver Behrman fifth, then it was Will Ellswood, Will Jenkins, Tom Adams only eighth. I did notice, Alex, that Tom Adams was all on his own. He didn't have anyone to draft with and slipstream with, but on your screens now, there's the poleman, Dan Holland Racing's Kai Hunt in kart number 5, picking up 1200ths of a second on that last lap there to take provisional pole position just for himself over Matthew Higgins. He's going to be pleased with that, is Kai.
I think Matthew will be very, very happy, as will his dad. David will be very much a lot happier. Spark plug problems yesterday. You know, there's always... I mean, Matthew's running currently in the B&L Karting Series. He is running in eighth position in the standings. But obviously, for those, you know, for those the B&L Karting Series is an international competition in its 11th season. With a push towards more, well, hopefully there's some exciting developments. I'm privy to them, but I can't really confirm anything at the moment. But I'm due to have a meeting late September. But B&L Karting Series is a very internationally recognised championship, and of course they're going to be offering tickets to the grand finals in Sarno, in the shadows of Mount Vesuvius, and I'm looking forward to actually going there personally for the very first time. But yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, just looking at the times, Henry, the top 23 separated by less than a second, and it was not even tenths, it was hundredths, maybe even thousandths separating the drivers. Dan Parron-Smith qualified 13th on a 59.02, over 4/10 off of Kai Hunter. So Hunter, as you said, used that slipstream to the absolute maximum to get that 10th over Matthew Higgins to take pole in qualifying.
And very, very quickly, just to say about what a win can do for a driver. Yesterday, Dan Parron-Smith qualified just inside the top 20. He got that heat win. He's up on the outskirts of the top 10 in this session. Just goes what a boost it can give to some drivers. And so Junior Rotax, 29 drivers head back to scrutineering. Go to the Parc Fermé area. We're getting towards the tail end of qualifying, Alex, and we've got just 2 classes to go.
Up next.
So, Cadet IAME, the original Kartmasters class. Of course, for many years it had the Coma engine, but the class that has traditionally always run for the British Championship has been the only class that has competed every single year at Kartmasters since the inauguration of this event back in 1996. A capacity 36 strong this year. Most of the top 10 in the current British Championship standings, including current British Championship leader Kian Nakamura-Berta, who is doing double duty this week, trying to go for an